Welcome to our next Wandering Walks of Wonder adventure. Today we're headed to St. Louis, Missouri and the campus of St. Louis University. St. Louis University is a private Jesuit research university with campuses not only here in St. Louis, but also in Madrid, Spain. The university was founded in 1818 by Louis William Valentine DuBourg, and it's the oldest university west of the Mississippi River and the second oldest Jesuit university in the United States. Our tour of St. Louis University begins in front of St. Francis Xavier College Church. This church is an English Gothic-style design that was planned by Henry Schweitzer and dedicated in 1898. This large brick building that we see as we head towards the entrance of the university is called DuBourg Hall. It was the first building on St. Louis University's current campus and opened in 1888. This structure once housed the university's entire operations, including classrooms, laboratories, a museum, a library, and dormitories for both students and Jesuit facility. Today, it's now home to the university's administration and the Office of the Registrar and Office of Admission. St. Louis University traces its origins to the St. Louis Academy, which was founded in November of 1818 by the Most Reverend Louis William Valentine DuBourg, the Bishop of Louisiana and Florida. The first location for the school was near the St. Louis Cathedral, which today is pretty close to the Mississippi River and the Gateway Arch National Historic Park. Already having a two-story building for the 65 students using Bishop DuBourg's personal library of 8,000 volumes for its printed material, the name St. Louis Academy was changed in 1820 to St. Louis College, while there was also a secondary school named St. Louis Academy, now known as St. Louis University High School. In 1827, Bishop DuBourg placed St. Louis College in the care of the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits. Not long after that, it received its charter as a university by an act of the Missouri legislature. In 1829, the new university moved to its campus on Washington Avenue and 9th, today the site of the America Center in downtown St. Louis. At this time, the founders forced enslaved black Americans from their St. Louis Seminary in Hazelwood to labor at the university. In 1852, the university and its teaching priests were the subject of an anti-Catholic novel called The Mysteries of St. Louis, which was written by newspaper editor Henry Bornstein. Bornstein's popular newspaper frequently criticized the university. In 1867, after the American Civil War, the university purchased Lindell's Grove in what is now Midtown St. Louis. The university subsequently moved to this new location, which is the current site of today's campus. Lindell's Grove was the site of the Camp Jackson affair, which occurred only a few years prior to the university's purchase. This was the Camp Jackson affair was part of the Civil War, where there were some skirmishes that took place. As mentioned, the first building on campus, DuBourg Hall, began construction in 1888 and the college officially moved to its location in 1889. Another historic building on the campus of St. Louis University is the Samuel Couples House, which was built for Samuel Couples, a wealthy St. Louis entrepreneur who had built his business called Couples Wooden Ware starting in the 1840s, and he became a millionaire by the age of 30. This house, which is designed in the Richardsonian Romanesque style, was completed in 1890. The house cost over $500,000 to construct, which is a very expensive home for that era. The couple's family lived in the house until 1919. The house was then used by the headquarters of the Brotherhood of Railroad Telegraphers until 1946, when it became the possession of St. Louis University. The building had many uses through the years and once was threatened with demolition, but thanks to the efforts of Father Maurice McNamee, the house was preserved and renovated. It's now used as an art museum and open for tours. During the early 1940s, many local priests, especially the Jesuits, began to challenge the segregationist policies at the city's Catholic colleges and parochial schools. After the Pittsburgh Courier, an African American newspaper, ran a 1944 expose on St. Louis Archbishop John F. Glennon's interference with the admittance of a black student at local Webster College, Father Claude Hythus declared in an angry homily accusing his own institution of immoral behavior in its segregationist policies. By the summer of 1944, St. Louis University had opened its doors to African Americans after its president, Father Patrick Halloran, secured Glennon's reluctant approval. In 1967, St. Louis University became one of the first Catholic universities to give lay people more power over the affairs of the school. Board Chairman Father Paul Reinhardt stepped aside to be replaced by layman Daniel Schafly, and the board shifted to an 18 to 10 majority of lay people. Across the street from us is the historic St. Louis New Masonic Temple, which was dedicated in October of 1926. The temple measures 185 feet tall and covers over an acre of ground. The temple had a construction cost of over $4 million, which would have been about $75 million in today's dollars. The temple features some beautiful stained glass, handcrafted furniture. The temple was once the Grand Lodge of the entire state of Missouri, however it no longer serves that role. Across from us is the St. Louis University Art Museum. It's now known as O'Donnell Hall, but it was once originally built for the St. Louis Club. The building was constructed in 1899. After a fire in 1925 nearly completely destroyed the interior of the club did not rebuild and sold the building to the F.W. Woolworth Company. The F.W. Woolworth Company rebuilt the interior and it converted it to office space, and the exterior remained intact as you see today. This is a great example of French Renaissance style architecture, and it's constructed of Bedford stone with panels of red brick. Today, the Art Museum displays exhibits on 4 floors of the building, and there are often rotating displays that you can see throughout the exhibits. As we come up once again on St. Francis Xavier College Church, here's a couple interesting facts about the building. In the south vestibule of the building is a figure in Italian marble of the Blessed Virgin, which was carved by Charles Gertz in 1853. Beneath the statue is a marble tablet that records the deliverance of the students and faculty of the university from the cholera plague of 1849 in St. Louis. According to tradition, the students promised the Virgin a silver crown for her statue as she would protect them from the plague of cholera. Although over 4,000 residents of St. Louis died from the disease, most of the students were unharmed and true to their word, they purchased the crown, which is now preserved in the library of the university. In the lower chapel of the church is the altar of the former church used in Kaskaskia, Illinois. It contains a consecrated stone said to have been used by Father Marquette for saying Mass. Father Marquette once traveled the Mississippi River in the early 1600s. Lastly, the bells in the tower were cast in Seville, Spain in 1789. They were brought to New Orleans by a Lutheran group, and from there, about 80 years ago, were removed to St. Louis by the Jesuits. They were placed in the tower in 1914.
that aren't white, but people are concerned when I do.